MAGA Mike and the MAGA Republicans are in full panic mode as Donald Trump's escalation of his catastrophic and unlawful war in Iran is instantly backfiring. MAGA Mike did acknowledge the fact that more U.S. troops have been killed since Donald Trump escalated the war. He posted at least something about it on his social media handle, but he refuses to speak about it in public, and instead he says the greatest threat right now facing the United States, the constitutional republic itself, he said it's the enemy within, it's communism, and it's people who don't like God, and that's what's destroying the United States. And so I contrasted what MAGA Mike and these MAGA Republicans have been saying, on social media, making a post about the troops being killed. But what are they saying while they've basically shut down the House to campaign? Well, I took a look at MAGA Mike in Iowa in the speech that he just gave over the weekend. And I just want to share with you what he says and what they're presenting out there and what the MAGAs are doing to try to use God, religion, the boogeyman right now is communism in order to distract from the fact that Donald Trump is quite literally destroying the country right now. And all of the fear-mongering that MAGA Mike and Donald Trump say about communism, in my opinion, it's embodied in Donald Trump's behavior. Donald Trump literally taking control of corporations. Donald Trump rigging the system for his right-wing oligarchs. Donald Trump making all of these promises. I'm going to give you everything free. I'm going to give you Doge dividend checks. I'm going to give you tariff rebate checks. I'm going to make sure your electricity prices are cut 75% on day one. Groceries are basically going to be free on day one. I'm going to do it. Only Donald can do it. I alone can fix it. And then he's made things so much worse. Trump's behavior, actually to a T, in my opinion, follows the model of communists like Lenin, as Donald Trump would say, Lenin. Let me just show you what MAGA Mike did. So he goes to Iowa and he starts off by saying there's this really big flag in the room. He goes, this flag, it's going to be in the Guinness Book of World Records. Donald is going to be very, very happy because we could put this in the new banquet hall and Donald Trump's new ballroom, everybody. And again, I want you to think about like a communist speech, actually, about their Führer, about their leader, talking about Donald. This will make Donald very happy, that big American flag, that we will put it in the banquet in Washington, D.C., where the Politburo will be positioned. Here, play this clip.
Look, how would you like to follow a Guinness Book of World Records flag, okay? Thanks a lot, Bob. Thanks a lot. Logan did an extraordinary job. What a great investment this is going to be. What a testimony. And I think they might have mentioned it, but we're going to try to get it in the new grand ballroom on the White House. How about that? President Trump's going to love it.
And then MAGA Mike starts to say, and look, everybody, what we need to really focus on is scripture. And what scripture tells us that right now we are in a spiritual battle. The biggest battle right now, it's the mini Mamdanis. Here, play this clip.
You all know that we're in a spiritual battle right now. I know I'm preaching to the choir. This is the honor choir. Okay, I'm preaching to the honor choir. You know, we're in a spiritual battle, and it requires us to walk circumspectly, as the scripture says, and to stand on that eternal truth that we know will guide our nation through the dire straits. We're having those challenges today. In fact, we're facing challenges right now that are greater than at any time in our lives. And I know I don't have to demonstrate that for you with all the evidence. You're watching it. This is the group that's savvy. You know what's happening. Psalm 11:3 is a passage of scripture I think about a lot. It's probably been cited here already today, but if the foundations be destroyed, what will the righteous do? And as I always remind my friends, that is not a rhetorical question. It's one that we have to answer right now in real time, because the foundations are under direct assault. And if you're going to defend the foundations, if we're going to ask everyone to stand in the gap with us and defend and hold those foundations, we understand that they're so important. We are celebrating the 250th anniversary of the greatest nation in the history of the world, and it's not even close. We are the most free, most successful, most powerful, most benevolent nation.
MAGA Mike then says, and I speak with the interns on Capitol Hill. I just gave them a speech, and I asked them, I said, raise your hand if you think we're the greatest country in the world. And none of the young interns, there's about 800 from Democratic and Republican offices, none of them raise their hand and think we're the greatest country in the world. And I tell them, I'm going to prove to you that we're the greatest country in the world. Here's what he talks about with interns. Here, play this clip.
I go on these university campuses and I would do a little exercise. I would usually have a large whiteboard on the stage with me. I'd request that in advance. And I told the students yesterday, I said, I brought a whiteboard and I said, let me just show you a little illustration that I do on college campuses. And I said, first of all, raise your hand. I asked the students, raise your hand if you agree that you live in the greatest nation in the history of the world. And it would break your hearts in this room that there's only a few hands that go up on every campus. I say, well, put your hands down. Would you, if you don't agree that you live in the greatest nation in the history of the world, would you at least agree with me that you live in a great nation? And you'd get a few more hands go up. I say, look, put your hands down. I'm a constitutional law attorney. I'm a historian. I could put on my evidence and put on my full case today and prove to you you live in the greatest nation.
He goes, and then I tell the interns what makes our country great? God. And I draw an arrow. People, God. God, people. That's what makes America strong. People equals God. God, people get the directions from God. That's it. Listen to what MAGA Mike says. Here, play this clip.
All that's left on the board now is God and the people. So I draw all the arrows now down straight from God to the people. And I step back and I say, that, in a word picture, is the essence of your country. And we're the first nation in the history of the world that did that. We erased the middleman. We erased all this stuff. We recognize that we owe our allegiance and our responsibility to a power higher than the civil authorities because it was God who gives us.
And then MAGA Mike goes, but look, here's the thing. If all you care about is people, as opposed to people and God, then you're just in the herd, and in the herd, you die. That's what MAGA Mike says. If you just care about people, that means Marxism, and then you're dead, and then you get killed. Okay, also, I'm just going to be the person to say it. Let me be very clear. My own view, whether you're a religious person or a non-religious person, whether you believe in this religion, whether you're someone who doesn't believe in God, whether you're an atheist, whatever, just be a good person. Be a empathetic, loving, compassionate. That's all, in terms of this platform, I certainly respect whatever your views and values are, religious-wise or not religious-wise. But this whole thing with MAGA Mike, you do realize that Donald Trump is like literally a person who despises religion. Like you do realize, and Trump's whole religious thing's like the fakest thing ever. Like you do get that. Whereas former President Biden would go to church every week, and was actually a religious guy. But okay, phony, fabricated MAGAs. Here, play this clip.
I said, because if this is the reality, and I get this big black marker and I ominously circle just the people alone themselves on the board, right? And I step back and I say, if that's our reality, we're in serious trouble. And if you think that's a good idea, you are not a student of history. Because you know what that describes right there? That is the basis of Marxism, communism, socialism. You see, Marxism, communism, socialism begin with the premise that there is no God. And there's a whole different set of implications that follow that. Because if there is no God, it means all that thing about everybody having inestimable dignity and value doesn't apply anymore, right? In fact, you don't have any individual dignity or liberty or value that's inherent. You're just another social animal. You're just part of the herd. By the way, that is the basis of socialism, okay? And you know what happens to the social animals in the herd? They got to be directed, controlled, corralled. They may provide for them a little bit, give them some free stuff, but they're certainly going to take away their freedom. And ultimately, it leads to death.
And then one of the things that MAGA Mike, then talks about over here is we must save the republic. He goes, I used to think that Democrats and Republicans, we could just argue about tax policy and we would just have these great debates. But now the Democrats have threatened the constitutional republic. Do you see these psychos, how they try to flip this? I just want you to see the tactics, right? It's like Donald Trump has literally destroyed the Constitution. He's literally a fascist, in my opinion. Literally runs the most authoritarian Stalin, Lenin, regime that's out there, right? And they're like, it is the Democrats who are threatening. Just observe the language that they use and notice what the whole point of this is. is to distract from the fact that people can't afford anything. They can't. All of Trump's promises have proven to be lies. They've ripped away health care from you. People can't afford anything right now. People can't afford rent. They've screwed over everyone. They're back in this net. They had never left it, but we have never-ending wars, engage in all this war crime and aiding and abetting genocide. But go on. Talk to us about how y'all are the ones saving the republic. Look at the language they use. Here, play this clip.
It would have been unthinkable if somebody had told me 10 years ago, on the 250th anniversary year, you guys are going to be engaged in a fight to keep a constitutional republic. I wouldn't have believed it. I mean, 30 years ago in Washington, the Republicans and Democrats were arguing over marginal tax rates and shades of regulation. That's not the contest right now. Right now, we're in a battle, an all-out battle, to determine if we were going to remain one nation under God, if we're going to remain and keep a constitutional republic, or trade it in, dismantle the foundations, and go down this dark, dangerous, deadly road of communism. Not on our watch, okay? Not on our watch.
Here he says the big threats, though. He goes around the mini Mamdanis. The mini Mamdanis, he said. Here, play this clip.
So every day we're not in session, I'm out on the road and I'm traveling to states, the blue states, swing districts, and we go to all over the place. And I've been noticing a trend for quite some time, and I've been trying to raise the alarms to everybody. Listen, this is a midterm year unlike any other. I'm telling you, this is shaping up to be an all-out, faithful battle for the future of the country. And I started saying weeks ago that I was starting to see many Mamdanis pop up around the country, and people were like, oh, that's a New York thing. I said, no, I'm telling you, it's everywhere. And now you see it happening. By our count, there's at least 28 of them that have already either won a primary or in position to win. These are openly avowed communists, okay? They call themselves sweet little names, democratic socialists. Nuh-uh. It's this dangerous stuff. The DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, is the banner under which they're working right now. But you should go on and see what their published platform is. I'm sure it's been covered.
So interesting because, you take a look right here. This is from the late 80s. Trump lands in Red Square. The Soviets want him to build 2 luxury hotels. In January 1987, Trump says in The Art of the Deal, I got a letter from Yuri Dubinin of the Soviet ambassador to the United States that began, it's a pleasure for me to relay some good news to you. It went on to say that the leading Soviet state agency for international tourism, the Gazkomintours, had expressed interest in pursuing a joint venture with me. And with Donald Trump, it's always projection and confession, right? So since they're on the topic of communism, here was Donald Trump when he was at NATO saying that he would make the greatest communist. He goes, all you have to do is tell people, I'll give you free homes. I'll give you this. I'll give you that. And then you don't deliver. It's easy to be. That's quite literally what Trump did. Go back to his campaign. I'll make your gas prices 50%. I'll give you Doge dividend checks, 5,000. I'll find the gold in Fort Knox. I will make sure that you get the best health. I'll give you everything. Just trust me. I alone can fix it. I'll be the one to do it. Here, play this clip.
Look, I want to get the word out because what's forming is communism in the country. And communism's easy to sell. I would be the greatest communist in history. I'd be right up there with Lenin. I'd be as good as anybody. You've got free rent for the rest of your life. What they don't say is that you'll be living in squalor in 12 months. You've got a free house. Would anybody like to have a free house? We'll take it away from somebody. We'll give it to you. You'll have murders all over the place. Communism's a disaster. It's been proven to be for thousands of years under different names, but same thing. It's very...
And this is his repeated line over and over again. Play this clip.
I'll be honest, I think I'd be the greatest communist in history.
But notably, when he was standing next to Zoran Mamdani in the Oval Office, this is what happened.
Mr. Mamdani is a communist. Can you describe why you feel that way? And also, will you do anything to stop him from arresting Prime Minister Netanyahu if he visits New York?
Well, we didn't discuss your second part of the question. And on your first part, I mean, he's got views a little out there, but who knows? I mean, we're going to see what works, or he's going to change also. We all change. I changed a lot. From when I first came to office. It's now quite a while ago. It's quite a while. My first term was great. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We're doing even better now. We're doing much better now than we did even the first term. And I can tell you some of my views have changed. And we had discussions on some things. I'm not going to discuss what they were, but that I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually. And some very liberal people he won't surprise them because they already like him.
And this is what happened. Play this other clip.
I called the president a fascist. And your answer was, both President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views. Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
And this is more than I wanted to ask.
And then back in early June, here's what he said about having Mamdani in the Oval Office. Let's play it.
And it leads to death, destruction, and squalor 100% of the time. When I watch New York, and I liked him very much, he stood right here, and he's been in the office a couple of times. The mayor of New York, I think he's a very nice person, and I don't know, he's a smart guy. I don't understand why he thinks it's okay for all these companies that pay hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes a year to leave. Because you're not going to have any tax base, and you're going to end up in hunger and squalor and death and destruction. I would be better than him if I wanted to go that route. Ladies and gentlemen,
So I want to show you a MAGA Mike song. This is their messaging. This is what they're talking, because they don't want to talk about affordability, which isn't a mantra. It's real. People are suffering. They don't want to talk about ripping away your health care. They don't want to talk about never-ending wars and our troops getting killed. And they don't want to talk about anything that the American people really care about right now. This is their plan to divide. It's coming. So you can see it. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
Breaking news right now. My brothers and I wrote a book. It's called WTF America. And well, doesn't that just say it all? It comes out officially this October, but you can pre-order your copy today. Just scan the QR code or click the link in the description below.